Lake Zurich High School, and he has his bachelor's degree from Northern Illinois University. He came to us from the Countryside Fire Protection District, and he was hired on board with us in 2013 as a firefighter paramedic. Kevin is heavily involved in our community programs where he teaches first aid, CPR, and stop the bleed. He is also on our EMS committee, and he also is involved in doing a lot of our paramedic training as a peer educator through our EMS system. He's also our quartermaster in charge of our uniform program on our department, and he has spent the past 5 years serving as an acting lieutenant, filling in when a lieutenant's not available to help him in his professional development for achieving the rank of lieutenant this evening. Kevin's grandfather, father, and brother have all served in the fire service. And in a moment here, after he is sworn in, his brother Scott will be pinning his badge on him.
And just so that we can give him some love, Kevin Michelle's dad, George McHale, is in the front row here in uniform, the retired uniform. Stand up, George. George is a regular participant in Coffee with the Mayor, and we appreciate some of his comments. So, and his brother Scott, stand up. Well, you'll be standing up anyway. This is his brother Scott, so he's here too. So, he is also a McHale, right? Not a Michelle. Okay. So, we good? Okay, come on up here, Kev. All right, you ready? Okay. I, Kevin McHale.
I, Kevin McHale,
Having been duly promoted to the position of lieutenant
having been duly promoted to the position of lieutenant
in the village of Lake Zurich,
in the village of Lake Zurich,
in the county of Lake,
in the county of Lake,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a lieutenant to the best of my ability.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of lieutenant to the best of my ability.
Congratulations to new firefighter paramedic James Sawyer, new firefighter paramedic Zachary Steinhagen, and new Lieutenant Kevin McHale. Thank you for your service. That's it for the President's report. I'm going to move to the dais for public comment. So if anybody wants to leave, you can leave or hang around. And
That's our cue. That's our cue.
We'll be here till 10 or 11 o'clock. Thanks. See you, Joe.
Good job, George.
Okay, moving on to public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for residents to comment briefly on matters included on the agenda and otherwise of interest to the Board of Trustees. Public comment is limited to 30 minutes in total and up to 5 minutes per speaker. When you step to the podium, if you haven't already done so, please sign in and identify yourself with your name and address for the record. We will take public comments from the sign-in sheet in the order in which folks signed in. Do we have the list? Trustee Shagru, we'll see if anybody signed up. I think somebody did.
Is there anybody else that needs to sign in, talk?
No. Okay, William Howarth. Evening, sir.
Good evening, William Howarth, 328 Denbury Drive, Lake Zurich. Without objection from the chair, I'd like to reserve my comments until the subject that I'm here for, which is 909 South Rand Road, is discussed at the end of the meeting.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Without objection from the chair, I would like to reserve my comments until the subject that I'm here to talk about is brought up in the meeting.
What subject is that?
909 South Rand Road.
Oh, okay. I have no objection.
Thank you.
We've done that in the past, so.
Thank you.
We'll call you up then, okay? Anybody else for public comment? Okay, seeing no one get up, we will move on to close public comment and move on to the consent agenda. The titles on the consent agenda will be read by the clerk and approved by a single roll call vote. Any item may be pulled from the consent agenda for discussion or separate vote by any member of the board. Clerk Johnson, would you please read the titles?
Okay, 7A, approval of minutes from the Village Board meeting of July 15, 2024. 7B, approval of semi-monthly warrant registered dated August 5th, 2024, totaling $1,652,690.54. 7C, ordinance approving a fence variation for 1073 Avery Ridge, assigned ordinance 2024-08-576. 7D, ordinance approving update to the Liquor Code Title 3.
Excuse me, I think that item's been pulled, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that
Oh.
item has been pulled.
Oh, that has been pulled, okay. Okay, 7E, ordinance approving a special use permit for luminescence detailing at 865 Tulsa Road, signed ordinance 2024-08-578. 7F, Paulus Park Pavilion rental for Chemco Trucking Company picnic on August 18, 2024. 7G, approval of municipal contribution agreement between the Village of Lake Zurich and Botavi Wellness LLC. And that is it.
Okay, thank you. Any board questions or discussion desired on any item, or would anybody like an item pulled for a separate vote?
I would like to have item G pulled for a separate discussion and vote, please.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, then may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, except for item G? You want that for a vote and discussion?
Yes, please.
Okay, separate vote and discussion. No, D has been pulled off the agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, and item D, which has been pulled off the agenda. So, motion, please,
So moved, Whiter.
and a second.
Second, Euchre.
And please call the roll, Kathleen.
Trustee Riley.
Aye.
Trustee Spicone.
Aye.
Trustee Shagru.
Aye.
Trustee Wider.
Aye.
Trustee Euchre.
Aye.
Trustee Marks.
Aye.
Okay,
Carries.
consent agenda has passed. I'm going to give this to trustee Spicone. He asked
Yeah.
to have it pulled for discussion.
Thank you. Just some questions that I have about the agreement, and I understand it's an opportunity for Botavi to try and do right by the village, since they missed a number of critical deadlines. One of which is that the approval has lapsed. And so here we are at a point where we're looking at potentially reapproving an approval that we had given them, of which they sat for a long time and did nothing on the property. At the same time, they took shots at our village staff by saying the village staff failed them in terms of meeting some of their deadlines, which we know was a falsehood altogether. And so I have concerns about getting into business with a business that failed to meet deadlines and then attempted to put the blame on staff as a village, when we know our village staff works really hard and tried to do everything they could to support this venture. At the same time, what I'm looking at here is that there's no third-party beneficiary, there's no opportunity. So my concern is I don't know if I trust this ownership group to follow through on anything that they've been putting forward, because we've been doing this for years and they haven't followed through on what they needed to do. They've missed deadline after deadline. They have not been forthcoming with what's going on. They ghosted us for a period of time. They also ghosted the property owner for a period of time, and we're not responding to their calls. I have serious concerns about getting into business with them long term, and I don't have any assurances here that they wouldn't sell their license, close shop, and they wouldn't fulfill this obligation anyway. I think it's a shallow agreement in terms of what we can hold on to, in terms of what's guaranteed. And I don't know if this is in our best interest as a village to consider going forward to approve this agreement, let alone approving anything that makes suitable business for them down the line. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, any comments from anybody else on the board regarding this agreement? No? Anybody want to answer Mr. Spacone's comments? Ray? Okay.
So thank you. We've shared updates with Botavi Wellness LLC since they had originally had their application for a special use permit approved by the board back in November 2021. The Village Code does provide a mechanism for the 2-year deadline on special use permits to be conditionally approved. We had granted them a 6-month extension, at which time, as the deadline approached, they had brought forward a plan to bring themselves into compliance, open the store, and fulfill the terms of the special use permit that was originally approved, like I said, 2.5 years prior. Over this past month, we had provisionally approved extensions on a week-to-week basis, contingent upon their providing twice-weekly updates. They have successfully, by the end of the month, had successfully secured a temporary occupancy permit. The last couple of remaining items per our community development department to secure the final occupancy permit are their sign and some parking lot improvements and striping that's actually was being renegotiated between the applicant and the property owner to be completed at a future date. So while I share a lot of your concerns, Trustee Spacone, they have over the past month have turned things around and have brought things to compliance with the terms of the special use permit. The revenue agreement, that was something that they had put on the table as an offering to demonstrate their good faith. Their special use permit remains contingent upon continuing to satisfy all of the other terms of the special use permit. So if they do anything to jeopardize that, they would lose that entitlement. If they were to sell, there's nothing in the provision that would say that the special use permit would necessarily go with them. That would be something that would have to come back to the village board. The same thing as if they go out of business, they are out of business. It would be as if any other business that we work with might go out of business or change venues or move out of town or whatever. We have limited recourse in dealing with a private entity in that regard. So the agreement itself is fairly straightforward. We reviewed it with legal counsel. Their attorney has reviewed it and has signed off on it as well. So it's something more than what we had before. We are hoping that at this point that they will continue to proceed in good faith and operate the store in accordance with our regulations and, of course, all the regulations put in place by the state of Illinois.
Can I follow up with one more question?
Sure.
The original contingency of them missing the last deadline of the $40,000, have we received that payment?
Yes, we claimed that on July 1st.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So the claiming means that it's been paid?
Yes.
Okay. So I think one of the concerns that Trustee Spacone had was some sort of verification that their monthly contribution would be met for the next 24 months.
Right,
Am
I
I-
mean,
did-
let's just say December, oh, we don't have the cash flow yet, we're just getting up and running, we don't have the money. What's to say that they're not gonna make their payment month to month? And what do we have as a holdback for that? Are we gonna say, oh, you gotta close your doors, we're gonna yank your permit now because you're not able to stay open? So I wanna know what assurances we have with this agreement, other than it just being a hollow agreement of which we have no real enforceability.
Scott?
What would be the enforceability, short of taking them to court, and if they're cash strapped, they're not gonna have it anyway. We're just gonna drive them out of business faster.
Well, that can happen with any
Right.
enterprise in the village. We're certainly hoping that doesn't happen. So for the contingencies we can plan for, you do have the ability to address a failure to meet the terms of the agreement. There is a prevailing party clause in the agreement that allows us to enforce it in the event that we need to. But what you have in front of you is a business that has taken the opportunity, the extended time, to invest a good deal of time and energy at the end of this process to complete the business, to get it ready, almost ready for opening. And in good faith, we think they have shown that they are committed to this process, they are committed to the project. If they don't follow through, the agreement provides that we can bring a claim, the village can, and collect your attorney's fees in the event that you prevail. There aren't a lot of other remedies that we can access in an agreement other than enforcing the agreement.
Or have them put up a deposit.
It's possible to request that as well. But when you say they're not paying at this point, unless you want all the money to be deposited up front, you're gonna have to trust that they will meet their obligations under the agreement.
Right. And that's my concern, is that we haven't been able to trust them for the better part of 2.5 years, 3 years. We're going back to 2021 when we started this with them, and here we are at the 11th hour, and now they're throwing cash at us. They're throwing, it's like the gambler that's constantly chasing to try and get ahead and throwing out an idea or a plan and can't quite catch up. And so now we're making a bigger promise than the promise we made before. Or same thing with a junkie, I'll pay you tomorrow if you give me today. Funny that I'm using the term junkie and we're talking about a dispensary here, but at the same time, it's my concern, right? You can't keep chasing and chasing and chasing when you basically blew it off for 2.5 years.
Right, so the other remedy that we have if a business or an entity is not complying with a special use permit
Right.
is obviously to revoke the permit or potentially revoke the permit. But if we do that, I believe that is going to undermine our objectives, which is that the business succeeds and that they make their payments. So-
It's no secret that I was the only no vote to this business back when it came through. And I'm sticking by what I feel and what my gut was then. And I'm just making sure that everybody is aware of the concerns that I have with this business at this time in light of the last multiple years since this originally got passed. And so those are my concerns. They're still my concerns. And I don't feel like, that's me. I'm one person. There's 6 of us up here, right? And so everyone needs to vote their own way, but I'm letting you know where I'm at right now with it and what I feel. So, with that, I don't think I have anything else to add to the discussion.
Okay, so the contribution is $4,250 monthly for 24 months for a total of $102,000. When does that start? When does that payment process start?
October 1st, 2024. And it would run through October of 2026.
So October 1st, 2024 is just right around the corner, and 2 years will fly by. I'm pretty comfortable that Botavi is going to be in business in 2 years, or they wouldn't have taken the extra steps that were granted them to bring the place up to snuff. It looks like it's a nice building, and I've been in the interior. It looks like they've done pretty much everything they said they were going to do. I'm going to trust that this is a good agreement. I don't get a vote, so I think that at this point they've had some challenges. Who hasn't? I mean, you have to remember that we started this process with dispensaries. We waited a year before we even approved them. So, anyway, my 2 cents. Yep.
Ray, I have a quick question. So,
Yes.
What is their updated target opening date?
Labor Day.
Labor Day, all right.
It's continued to this point, from what I understand, and Ed is here, he can speak to it, is the state of Illinois has to grant the final approval before they can open their doors and begin dispensing.
Perfect. And then point of clarification, this 102,000, that'd be incremental to any tax revenue we would receive post-opening, right? So
That is
it's
correct,
incremental.
yes.
Perfect, thank you.
With your indulgence, if I may, just want to do a shout out and a thanks and appreciation to our community development staff, particularly Sarosh and Mary Myers, also our fire department inspection staff as well, that they've been they've been very flexible and accommodating and working with Ed and his crew in trying to get the inspections done and there was good communication over this past month, but I just want to make sure that, yes, to Trustee Spacone's comments, our staff really did go above and beyond in making sure and working with the business owner in that spirit of being business friendly and working with and being a partner with our business community.
Okay, anybody else? Nope. Okay, then I would like to make a motion to approve a municipal contribution agreement between the Village of Lake Zurich and Botavi Wellness LLC.
So moved, Riley.
And a second, please?
Second, Shigeru.
And would you please call the roll, Kathleen?
Trustee Marks?
Aye.
Trustee Riley?
Aye.
Trustee Spacone?
No.
Trustee Shagru?
Aye.
Trustee Wider?
No.
Okay, 4-2.
She didn't
is-
call me.
Trustee Euchre, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay, she
Oh,
wouldn't
I'm
call.
sorry.
That's okay.
Did I not call? I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Trustee Euchre.
No.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so it's 3-3. Yeah, then I do vote, and I vote yes. So, do we need 4?
Yep.
Okay, then the motion passes, so. Okay, that's the end of the consent agenda. We'll move on to new business. Trustee Riley, you have the first item.
Thank you. So, state law requires the village to publish a complete set of financial statements presented in conformity with the general accepted auditing standards by a firm of licensed certified public accountants. The village has completed the annual audit with Baker Tilly, who has issued an unmodified clean option or opinion on village finances for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2023. Overall, village finances fared well during the fiscal year 2023. The general fund surplus balance increased by $553,000, bringing the total fund balance to $14.5 million, of which $1.7 million are unspendable. The general fund unrestricted balance sits at 37% of the fund expenditures at the end of 2023, a significant accomplishment that allows for top bond rating and lower interest rate for the taxpayers. The village's official general fund balance target is 40%. This next part really shows how far Lake Zurich has come in the past decade when it comes to financial stability. Our long-term bonded debt decreased by $1.9 million to a total of $17.4 million outstanding as of December 31st, 2023. 10 years ago, in 2013, this bond debt was $34 million. For business-type related activities to the water and sewer fund, total net position increased by $6.4 million, mostly due to water system infrastructure improvements. The net position for water and sewer fund mostly includes funds invested in capital assets. As municipal infrastructure continues to age, infrastructure improvements will continue to be a large drain, pun intended, of resources for the water and sewer fund. By the end of 2023, the total net position of the village as a whole increased by $14.2 million compared to a $9.9 million increase in 2022. Total net position includes all assets and liabilities held by the village, which includes capital assets and depreciated over time, as well as real estate. Due to long-term financial planning of the village, coupled with the strength of the local economy and private sector investment, municipal finances remain on solid footing for the foreseeable future.
Okay, thank
Amy?
you, Trustee Riley. Tonight, we have Joe Lightcap, our partner with Baker Tilly, here to discuss our 2023 audit results.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Joe.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for using Baker Tilly as your auditors. I'll be going over very briefly a couple of documents, the annual comprehensive financial report and the audit results letter. First, on the annual comprehensive financial statements, you heard the financial results. I just also wanted to say that it's a comprehensive document and it's more than what is required by accounting standards. The village goes above and beyond to include some narratives in the front, the transmittal letter, and statistical information in the back that just provides additional transparency and information to the users of the financial statements. In preparing the financial statements, we assist the village in doing that task. These are the village's numbers, but we help put the document together. The finance department and Amy are a great help. They provide a lot of great information in a timely manner. So I'd like to thank them for their help in when we perform the audit, but also preparing the document and their reviews. On to the audit results letter. That is the non-financial highlights of our audit. So it provides, it satisfies a few different auditing standards and provides the board and management with some information regarding the audit. The letter addresses our responsibilities, management's responsibilities, that there are no significant changes to our audit plan, discusses our areas of focus, our thoughts on any significant risks, which are just the standard risks that are inherent in any financial audit. And then key areas of emphasis. We also look at internal control related matters in designing our tests, the nature, timing, and extent of our tests. We don't provide an opinion on internal controls, but should we find anything that we feel like the board should know about, we would put that in this letter. Once again, I'm happy to report that there are no internal control related matters reported to the board. Also, if there were any significant or unusual transactions, difficulties performing the audit, disagreements, they would be listed in this report. Your report is very much a boilerplate report. There's nothing exciting in there to report, so it's all pretty standard and clean reports. So that's good to see. That's what you want to see when you read that report. Finally, two-way communications regarding your audit. While we work with management to perform the audit, we ultimately work for the board. Should you ever have any questions or concerns, we'd love to hear from you, not just when I'm up here presenting the audit, but throughout the year. We're an open line should you need to talk to us. My contact information is at the beginning of that letter, my phone and email should you need it. Happy to talk to you. This year, we also are performing a federal audit. When the village expends enough federal monies, we're required to come in and look at internal controls and compliance over that spending. With the amount of coronavirus relief funds that were spent in 2023, we did come in and we looked at that compliance. That report is still in the final stages of review, but I would expect no issues with that report as well. So all in all, a good report, a clean report from the audit. And I'll open that up to the board for any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you, Joe. I've got some comments. This may not be exciting to you, but I think this is exciting for us. This is a freaking success story where you can look at where we were 10 or 12 years ago and where we are now. First off, Baker Tilly has issued an unmodified clean opinion. We now get a series of those as Baker Tilly and our other auditors have gone through our process. The second thing is that we have a general fund balance increased by $553,000, bringing the total fund balance to $14.5 million, of which $1.7 million are non-spendable. We didn't have that 12 years ago. Did not have it. The next item would be general fund unrestricted balance sits at 37% of fund expenditures. Our target is 40%. We'll hit that probably next year or the year after. All success stories for what this staff, what this board, what the residents have done and accomplished in Lake Zurich in the last 12 years. I commend everybody. I'm going to keep going because it says here 10 years ago in 2013, our bonded debt was $34 million. We're paying off our debt. We've had people get up here and talk about how much we have in debt, but we're paying it off. We actually have a TIF that we don't have to build another thing for, and we can pay the TIF debt off in the prescribed amount of time. Business type activities related to the water and sewer fund, the total net position increased by $6.4 million, mostly due to water system infrastructure improvements. We're going to Lake Michigan Water. Lake Michigan Water is expensive. We're finding a way to help pay for Lake Michigan Water that, yes, it'll affect the taxpayers and the residents, but we've got other sources that we're going to that are going to help pay for that as well. And the next item here is that by the end of 2023, the total net position of the village as a whole increased by $14.2 million compared to $9.9 million in 2022. Another success story. And then my last point is due to the long-term financial planning, which includes the 20-year CIP. Mike Brown, where is he? There he is, which was Mike Brown's brainchild several years ago. We now plan for every single thing, even pencils and papers, I dare say, of what we're doing for the future. So this isn't a bunch of schlubs up here just sitting up here taking the big money that we make. This is a success story, and I hope that you and the residents and everybody else recognizes what a success story this is. So, any other comments from the board? Okay.
I just add it's a big testament to all the work that the village staff does. I think one pain on government is they often spend everyone else's money, not like they would in their own household. And to the mayor's point, everything is gone over with a fine-tooth comb and with the fiscal responsibility that's needed. The AAA bond rating provides us long-term stability in terms of bringing new businesses in.
I forgot that. That's a maintained AAA bond rating.
Yes. So again, those things allow us to continue to invest in the future of Lake Zurich, as well as continue to do the infrastructure and beautification that we do around the village.
Absolutely.
I would say we'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge the work early on when former trustee Sprocka joined the board with you and you guys came in and cleaned up, did a lot of heavy lifting then. To get us to where we're at today. So I don't want to forget about our former trustee who was here that did a lot of heavy lifting early on with this.
Good point. Good point.
And you said it was a boring report, which I'm assuming in the accounting world, boring means good.
Yes, very much.
That's what we like to hear. So yeah, for the rest of the world, a boring audit means that everything went the way it's supposed to, and that's a good report. And you said nothing exciting happened, so that's also a good thing.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Exciting bad, boring good. That's what we want to hear. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
All right.
Motion.
So I am looking for a motion, a motion to approve and accept the comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2023.
So moved, Whiter.
And Kathleen, please call the roll. What? Oh, he did second.
Second, Shagru.
Well, I thought I heard a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. This was such a damn
It's
good
all
report.
those oaths that sent us off. Okay. Trustee Spicone.
Aye.
Trustee Shagru.
Aye.
Trustee Wider.
Aye.
Trustee Euchre.
Aye.
Trustee Marks.
Aye.
Trustee Riley.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
That passes, sir. Thanks for your time.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for the report, too.
Drive safely.
Huh?
I told him to drive safely.
Yeah, there you go. Next item, an agreement with FGM Architects for fire station location deployment analysis in the amount not to exceed $55,000. Trustee Euchre.
Agenda item 8B. In summary, the village 2024 budget includes $50,000 in the general fund for a fire station location study. The village has grown significantly since fire station number 1 was built in 1980, and this station no longer serves the community's needs. Village staff recommends a contract with FGM Architects of Oak Brook to independently determine the best location for a future fire station number 1 headquarters facility to replace the current station at 321 South Bushing Road. FGM Architects, in partnership with consultants at Advanced Selections, will spend 6 to 7 months performing deep-level mapping of demographics and service areas overlaid with incident data and call volume. At the end of this project, the village will have a solid plan for a future station location, architectural site diagramming, and an approximate building size.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Trustee Euchre. This particular study, we had identified it in our budget process last year as being one of the what's next topics or projects for us to undertake. This is a study in working with FGM as well as Advanced Selections to identify where a future station, replacement station for Station 1 might be located and be able to most effectively serve the community is part of the ongoing delivery of services that the fire department is responsible for. This will be primarily driven by the fire department, but it obviously includes quite a bit of input from community development, public works, finance, administration as well, so that we could put a recommendation in front of you that is not just an esoteric study of where a station could be, but hopefully where we can practically put it with some cost estimates and with some predictions or models built around where our call volumes are and where they projected to be. Chief, I don't know if you want to add anything, or if, Mike, if you want to add anything at this point.
Thank you. We've outgrown Station 1 on Bushing Road, and it's starting to show its age. Obviously, we are engaging Public Works a lot, and they're great to come to our aid. And along with that, how we operate today versus in 1980 as a fire department has changed significantly. So it's great to see that we're recognizing the need for this in the community, and I'm hopeful that we're supportive of this evening. Thank you.
What's the time frame for having the report back?
The consultants have identified that they'll have recommendations to us within 6 or 7 months. Again, it'll require some data collection and data modeling, looking at call volumes and call predictions as well. So that'll take a little bit of time to pull that together.
So we've gone through this exercise in the past. What do we expect to find out from this exercise that that we might be able to glean from the past? What's different about this one?
We're taking a look at where we're going to put the fire station to best serve the community versus just taking a look at how would we just rebuild the station. The piece was missing to make sure the station was put in the right spot and built in a way that we needed for our responses to serve the community. So there's a couple extra steps here of vetting in the process to make sure we put it in the right spot, serve the community appropriately, and make some predictions also going forward, looking at what the costs are going to be associated with this. So it's much more vetting the process so that we have good optics on it and inform the community for our service model as a fire department and what we need to invest in for them.
Okay. Yeah. No? Anybody? Nope.
No, I was just gonna, I think in the past, some of the work that we had done was to look at rebuilding in the same spot or remodeling in the same spot or adding on to it. This is a completely different approach in terms of, is it the right place first before we even look at what it would look like? Is that true?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anybody down
Anybody
here?
else? No? Okay. MB?
So I'd like to invite a motion to approve an agreement with FGM Architects for a fire station location and deployment analysis in the amount not to exceed $55,000.
So moved, Riley.
Kathleen, call the roll,
Oh,
please.
no, we need a second.
Second, Sugar.
She
Thank you.
entertained a
You
motion.
invited the motion. You
Yes,
fought me on that.
because that's the process.
Yeah.
And a second, who's going to do?
Second, Sugar.
Sagru.
Shagru, okay, sorry, missed that. Trustee Shagru,
Aye.
trustee Wider,
Aye.
trustee Euchre,
Aye.
trustee Marks,
Aye.
trustee Riley,
Aye.
trustee Spicone.
Aye.
Okay. Have at it, chief.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, trustee Spicone.
Yeah, it's an exciting one. Item 8C, an ordinance amending Title III, Chapter 2, Section 18 of the Village of Lake Zurich Municipal Code to regulate tobacco dealers and smoke shops and ban such establishments from selling products containing Delta-8 THC and kratom. I think I'm saying that right. A sign ordinance number 2024-08-579. In summary, unregulated cannabis-related products containing Delta-8 and kratom are being sold in Lake Zurich at establishments that sell traditional liquor or tobacco products. There are concerns over retailers selling such products without any governmental oversight or safety controls. An ordinance creating mandatory tobacco retail licensing in Lake Zurich is now proposed that would effectively ban the sale of unregulated Delta 8 and Kratom products from Lake Zurich establishments, using a layered approach through the end of 2024, with a total ban starting on January 1st, 2025. A local ban on such products would come with an economic impact, harming the revenue of small businesses such as gas stations and smoke shops that have a heavier reliance on these products to generate revenue compared to larger big box stores. If approved, the proposed ordinance would immediately ban the sale of Delta 8 and Kratom products to anybody in Lake Zurich under the age of 21, and businesses would be prohibited from placing any additional orders of Delta 8 or Kratom products. Starting on January 1st, 2025, all Lake Zurich businesses wishing to sell traditional tobacco or vaping products would be required to obtain from the village a $200 tobacco retail license and would be prohibited from selling any Delta 8 or Kratom products.
Okay. Mark,
Yeah.
you have a soapbox on this
I not a soapbox, but I did bring this up, and this is something that's near and dear to my heart. One, a lot of people don't know that the Illinois General Assembly was ready to move on this in the last legislative session, and for whatever reason, it fell off. I don't know what happened, but I do know that it's probably going to come up in the next session. But I saw it as an opportunity for us to make a statement locally on these products, which we believe will end up at some point being taken off the market by the state of Illinois' Illinois General Assembly. So once that fell through and it was not acted on, I reached out and I said, let's put something in place here to consider for our community. For those of you that don't know, I'm a middle school principal. I see the impact of these products, unregulated, regulated, falling into the hands of children every day, and what the impact is on our young kids. And this is a completely unregulated industry. There's synthetic products that are being out there that we have no idea what's happening because there's no study and no research. We just know it's pumping money into companies that are selling it and into businesses around our community. My thought is that we need to do everything we can to protect our community from unregulated, unlicensed products that have no business in our community that people are just pumping out because they're making money for it. It's the only reason why they're selling it. They're not selling it because they think it's good for people. And that's my concern, and that's why I brought this up. We went to the Tobacco 21 initiative a few years ago when the state dropped the ball on it and didn't add it, and then shortly thereafter they approved it statewide. And so this is another extension of our work there that I believe that if enough municipalities, which many municipalities are taking up very similar regulations here, that if enough communities get there, the Illinois General Assembly will move quicker rather than later. That's the rationale for why I want to do this. And I think it's important, and I really believe in it as being right and good for our community. So that's my soapbox, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, that's why just lack of a better term. So
Appreciate it.
Chief, you got any comments on this?
No, I just agree that it's an unregulated item. It's a frustrating thing for us to deal with because there's not much we can do, but we do see it, like Trustee Spicone said, proliferating middle schools and younger people. So definitely a good step forward. Even if in the future the state bans it, I like the idea of leading the way.
Right.
In partnership with our business community, we've also, as part of this process and doing our due diligence, we also reached out to the business community, the businesses that we knew had these products, and put them on notice and give them an opportunity to provide feedback and comment. And then the ordinance is structured so that the immediate ban would go into effect for those under the age of 21, and then that gives the businesses an opportunity to deplete their inventory before a full total ban would go into effect on January 1st, 2025.
What was the feedback you got from, if any, from the local businesses? I know we all got an email, a lengthy email. Anything from anybody?
So we got the email from someone that represents the sellers of this product. It was lengthy, inviting me to have more discussion about it. I don't have any reason to discuss it any further. I do believe that this is the right step for our community. It really for every community, but I can only work with what we have here right now as we continue to grow and expand our influence with this. But I have not heard anything back from anyone else other than that one agency or that one group that was marketing on behalf of the sellers.
I guess one question I have is, so this is specifically for, it says here, tobacco dealers and smoke shops. I believe that dispensaries sell, some do, no? Or I'm getting the nods from that, okay. I was under the impression that on, not Kratom, but the Delta H THC, I was under the impression maybe that's an out-of-state thing. Okay, all right, thank you.
Do we know who's banned it? But what communities have banned it?
We had a list of it, but I don't have it at my fingertips.
I
There
thought
was
I
a
saw it
number
someplace.
of
Do you
a number of communities have moved in that direction.
We have a community to the north that banned it a few years ago. And there are a number of home rule municipalities that have enacted a ban at this point. As trustee Spicone has pointed out, the legislature's been examining this for the last 2.5 years, and it appears they're on the verge of enacting legislation. They just haven't gotten there yet. So.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I've been watching this for the last several years, and when I saw the Illinois General Assembly drop, and what I believe dropped the ball on it this last legislative session by not including it in passage, I felt it was time for our village just to step up and take a stand on these products.
Okay. Anybody else? Mary Beth?
An email from Kyle that was sent to us earlier this year indicated that the following suburbs have enacted local bans on these products: Glencoe, Highland Park, Elk Grove, Antioch, Buffalo Grove, Lincolnshire, Wheeling, Geneva, North Aurora, and Des Plaines. So that was the list that was sent to us.
Okay. Okay. Hearing no other comments from anybody. Mark?
All right. I would like to make a motion to approve the ordinance number 2024-08-579, amending Title III, Chapter 2, Section 18 of the Village of Lake Zurich Municipal Code to regulate tobacco dealers and smoke shops and ban such establishments from selling products containing Delta 8 THC and Kratom.
And I'll second that motion, Kathleen
Okay.
Euchre.
Kathleen, please call the roll.
Trustee Euchre,
Aye.
Trustee Marks,
Aye.
Trustee Riley,
Aye.
Trustee Spicone,
Aye.
Trustee Chagru,
Aye.
Trustee Wider.
Aye.
Okay, so we've
Motion
now
passes.
banned the synthetic consumer products Delta 8 and Kratom from our community. Okay. Next item, again, Trustee Spicone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 8D, Public Works project that we need to get on. Authorization to waive the competitive bid process and approve replacement of Orchard Lift Station pump in the amount not to exceed $26,138. In summary, the Orchard Lift Station is an essential duplex facility of the village's sanitary sewer collection system. That sounds messy. That serves the Rand Road and Route 22 commercial retail corridor along with several residential subdivisions. Recently, one of the Orchard Lift Station pumps failed during normal operations. The failed pump was sent to Metropolitan Pump Company to diagnose, which has indicated that it is more economical to replace the pump than to repair it. Metropolitan Pump Company has provided a proposal for $26,138 for a new hydromatic pump. This is an unanticipated expenditure in the fiscal year 2024 budget. However, there are offset savings from the sanitary sewer infrastructure improvements to cover this expense. Staff is recommending the competitive bid process be waived in an effort to expedite the replacement of the pump and return it to service as quickly as possible.
Mike?
Can't tell you how critical it is to keep this stuff flowing. We all know that, right?
Yeah.
So, as we have in the past, we are asking the board to waive the competitive bid process so that we may stay consistent with the equipment and pumps that we have at other lift stations, and to keep in place the manufacturer's guarantees and warranties.
Okay, that's it?
That's it.
Okey-doke.
Do we have a backup pump that has this operational right now, or are
This-
we just letting this one sit and we're working on an alternate route?
This is our spare.
Okay.
So we're proposing to put this spare in place and put it on the shelf. Right now, our spare is in the ground.
Gotcha. Okay. So we'd be putting one back on the shelf at this
That's
point. Right. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments?
And we're hoping in the meantime that the one that's running doesn't fail.
We have 2 pumps going, so
All right.
we're good.
Keep it pumping.
Keep it pumping.
Okay, Mark?
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve an agreement with Metropolitan Pump Company for emergency repairs at the Orchard Lift Station in the amount not to exceed $26,138.
And a second, please.
Second,
Did you say 100,000?
Marks, okay. And Kathleen, what's Jake?
Trustee Marks.
Aye.
Trustee Riley.
Aye.
Trustee Spicone.
Aye.
Trustee Chagru.
Aye.
Trustee Wyder.
Aye.
Trustee Euchre.
Aye.
Okay. You can get your pump. Okay. Last item on the agenda, new business agenda, is Trustee Marks.
I think that makes it me. I was told I was supposed to receive a fancy iPad, which I do see some people have, but I'm not going to take it personally. I don't have it. But I'm looking at my phone, but I swear I'm paying attention. So agenda item 8E, ordinance approving a special use permit for Duchess Cannabis Dispensary at 909 South Rand Road. Rubino Ventures, with the consent of the property owner, JAS Management, request a special use permit to operate a cannabis dispensary business at 909 South Rand Road. The current building is vacant with plans in the works to demolish the existing structure and redevelop the site with a new 3,500 square foot building with 25 parking spaces. No requests for zoning relief are requested by the applicant. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on this request on July 18th, 2024, voting 4-0 to recommend approval.
Okay, we had, let me ask, Jason, are you going to make a presentation? Yes. Okay. Yes, please. Yes, please. And then Mr. Howarth, when he's finished, you get your 5 minutes, okay?
If you'd like to go ahead of me, he's welcome to.
Let's let him see what you got.
Sure. Well, thank you, Mayor Boynton and fellow trustees. It's good to be in front of you again. So as Trustee Marksick said, we do own the property, which is currently the Hawkeye Automotive. And we have plans, as presented before you, to go ahead and redevelop the property. We've been deciding what we were going to do with the property and deciding what type of building we'd build. And we had gone through a few different iterations. We had thought about a car wash at one point, worked with the neighbors, which Mr. Howe is here as one of the residents, and just felt that it was going to be too tight on the site, so we never brought that before you. We have decided on the structure and the building. I think you have the packet. And I do have a presentation that I'd like to run through with you.
Please.
So as I had said, I think this is a cool picture, but it shows 909 there, and then it's in our adjacent property. That was the reason we originally had bought the property, was just to kind of keep contiguous development with our existing Deer Path Commons Shopping Center. We're excited to own the only Quonset hut in Lake Zurich, but we're more excited to tear it down. So, and I can't tell you how excited Mary Meyer is for the Quonset hut to go. She's been calling and asking when that's going to happen. So as I just wanted to go through all the names, because I even get confused sometimes. There's a lot of JASs that you all know what that stands for. But the developer is going to be JAS Development, which is our company. It's going to be G-Seed and Built. And I'm saying all of this because with the recent things that have happened with dispensaries and things, I want you to understand who's in charge of this project and in full control of it. It's us. It's our building. We're going to build it. We're going to develop it start to finish. And we're in complete control of that. There won't be any outside contractors or developers that we're hiring. It's going to be self-performed again by Fidelity. The property management company will be JAS Management. Currently, we do have a signed lease with Duchess Cannabis, which is here behind us. And after I'm done, they will provide the presentation for you as well. We went with a 3,500 square foot building because we did some kind of studies. Currently, there's over 4,000 on the site. And the layout of the site is really odd due to it being a Quonset hut. The parking lot wraps all the way around. That works for an automotive use, but for our purposes of a retail use or any sort of, in the future, if it were to be any retail, it's not a great layout. So if we were to move the building to the side as we have done, we couldn't build 4,000 feet on that site. So as Sarosh did say, actually no, I think no one mentioned the staff report yet, but as they did in the PZC, the staff report shows all green, which means we don't need any ordinances. Excuse me, it was Trustee Marks who had said it. We don't need any ordinance, any relief. The site meets all the ordinance codes and everything, so we're just planning to, with approval tonight, apply for a permit and build a building. Again, that's just an aerial photo. I put this in here because I thought it was important for you to see the adjacency to the neighboring property, but also to the residences. It does border 3 properties, as you can see there, 3 homes. There's a 4th. It doesn't particularly border our property. I can't see the number here. I think it's 205, but it is within proximity. I'm happy to report that we have spoke with a resident, the resident representative, I'll call him, and he has talked to the other neighbors, and we haven't heard any feedback except really positive about the project and moving forward with this, and he's here to go ahead and confirm that for you all tonight. So here's just a copy of the Plata survey. That does show kind of the existing conditions I was talking about. I did show this because it's important to know that the current entrance on 212, entrance and exit, is going to remain as it's drawn, as you'll see in the proposed site plans. And the connection driveway, which we kind of call the frontage road, which connects our 2 properties now, is going to remain, and we don't have any plans to change that. So that'll all remain the same. I know this is a little hard to see on the overall picture, but I think you all have the packet in front of you, and you've obviously had time to review it. So this is the full site plan. It also shows the grading plan, the utility plan. We're really far along on this. We're actually ready to submit for permit, but we didn't want to go ahead and do that until we obviously went through this process tonight. But we have full engineering drawings done, not preliminaries, but they are full and complete. We went ahead and did that because the plan is to build, we're going to get approval to build this building because it does meet all the zoning. We're here tonight, obviously, for the special use permit. Is there any questions about the layout, or would you like me just to go through and then you can hit me with questions? Cool. Here's a copy of the landscape plan. It's 2 pages. We always include this because every time we seem to come before any sort of municipality, this is the biggest question we usually get. Screening, plant unit counts, does it meet code, what colors, all of those wonderful things. As you can see, the site, this is the existing tree study that's done on the first page. The second page is the actual landscape plan. So we're going to keep a lot of existing trees, which are noted on this page, the tree preservation plan, and then this is the new install plan. It is very heavily landscaped towards the back of the property, obviously, because we want to be, screen the residents as much as possible while still meeting all of the plant unit counts that are required on the other bordering. The front property line is obviously 12, and the side property is our property. So we limited the majority of the landscape to that side because it really doesn't matter for another retail resident, and we beefed it up in the back and then on the north property line, which would side the residents. Another hot topic is always lighting. So we went ahead and we've already completed the photometric study. The photometric study does meet all of the village ordinances and zoning codes and building codes. We do not have any spillover onto the neighboring properties. And we've gone with shorter poles. And I think this is designed with 20s. We may even try to reduce that down to 15s after talking with the neighbors, because even if we're not spilling light onto the property, I get it when you're in your backyard or in your, the back of your home or in your bedroom, and the light pole is even potentially with your bedroom window, that can create a glare coming through. So if we can light the site properly by lowering those even to 15s, that might help them as well, because as the trees grow, then the light poles would be below the trees. This is a color rendering of the property. I brought the building materials because Sarosh emphasized that Many of the members of the commission and many members of the board really like to see building materials. I apologize, they're not bigger. But we're excited actually because this is one of the first buildings we're going to be building with a stack stone. So this is, it's a cultured stone, but it's also literally just stack it on top of each other. It's a non-mortar system, which makes it great because then you can replace it easily as it gets weathered and things. But they come out with so many different colors and everything, and we're really excited about the kind of visual features that this building offers. Then we're going to be going with a normal size brick, so it's more of a residential size brick and not the utility size or commercial size that we've used in our other properties. Because we don't want this to look like just another, I mean, I shouldn't say this because we own a lot of shopping centers. I don't want it to look like just another shopping center. I think it's a cool site, the way it sits, and I think with the ability to create something a little more architecturally attractive in this type of building rather than another kind of traditional retail building, if that makes sense. And then we've got the hardy board siding, and this is something we've never done, and I'm probably going to really regret it, but the sign ban is actually going to be done out of siding. But I guess that's how much confidence I have in this tenant who signed a 10-year lease that they're not going to be going anywhere for a long time. So we can go ahead and not have to replace all the holes that the sign will make in that beautiful siding when it's, you know, installed. So again, we're excited. Limited the amount of drive-it because I know as many municipalities nowadays, drive-it is not the choice product. Unfortunately, the older centers that we used to build in the 90s and early 2000s had a lot of drive-it. So we just limited the drive-it to the top of the stack zone and above the soldier course there. And then what I think is really cool, and my daughter loves it because she's an interior designer now, is the darker cornice that we're going to be going with instead of the traditional white, which gets really dirty all the time. But it's going to be a darker, like charcoal gray cornice. So I'm excited. I think the building looks really cool. And that's all I have as far as a presentation for you. But I'm happy to answer any questions, or I can go ahead and introduce Duchess Cannabis to go ahead and make their presentation. But if you have any questions about the development itself, obviously I'm here to answer them for you.
Let's take this piecemeal and then talk about the building and the construction first, and then we'll let the cannabis operator talk. Any comments on the building or any comments on the construction? Jake, you were on the PCC when this was approved or recommended. As anything from you?
Yeah, I would just commend the developer on the presentation and the aesthetic of the business. I will say, as you drive around anywhere in the United States these days with legalized marijuana, dispensaries are a dime a dozen. It does have a nice aesthetic to it, which I think adds meaningfully to the community. It's not an eyesore. And it's taking a site that is currently an eyesore and turning into something visually attractive.
So you think this is better than the Quonset hut?
Indeed, I do.
Okay, that's a plus. Okay.
That was easy.
Anybody else? No?
No, I just wanted to say, I appreciate the attention to detail in the building. It is a very attractive property, and you should be commended for the effort
Thank you.
on making it that way.
We're excited. We just want another nice property in Lake Zurich as long as we're here. I mean, eventually we're going to be in Florida full time, but we're still here for a long time. So thank you.
Who owns that? Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry. Who owns the frontage road that you're referring to?
Well, we do. So Deer Path Commons owns up to the property line, and then now JAS Management owns, 909 JAS Management owns the other portion of it. So right now we own both of them, yeah. So, and we have an agreement between two properties. One thing I didn't mention, and I'm sorry I forgot to mention it, but it's a great, once you asked that, Trustee Shagru, we already have a cross easement agreement created, parking agreement and access agreement with the two properties as it previously exists. We will create that again once it's redeveloped, because then both properties would have the ability to park in both properties, and we're going to create, it's not on the engineering drawing, but it will be on the submittal documents that we get over to Sarosh and his team. We're going to create a sidewalk that'll run along that road, kind of on the property side, that would connect the two property parking lots, so that if you're over at 909, you could walk over to the, he just brought it up for me. No, he didn't. He brought the other, sorry. you could then walk from Tropical Smoothie over to 909 or vice versa so that you could park at both properties. Because one of the bigger questions that always is there enough parking? And we can assure you there's enough parking. There's 25 spaces for a 3,500 square foot use, but then you have the access to the Outlot H parking as well and the main property. So, yes.
I actually had a question for Mike. And I think the building looks really nice. So nice job on that.
Thank you.
And I like the way you've laid it out on the property and the screening in the back and things like that. I think you did a real nice job. The property next to it where our pumping station is at, for the Lake Michigan work that we're doing, and I believe that site's going to end up with a holding tank, right?
It's not 100% determined that we will.
Okay.
We're looking at some other infrastructure upgrades that may eliminate that from the original pitch, if you will.
I was just wondering how this might impact that, or that might impact this in terms of what the future plan is for that property, because I know as a pumping station it'll change. And so I just wasn't sure, because I know the original talk was about having a holding tank on that property,
Right.
potentially.
What we're looking at now will potentially eliminate that and make it green space.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Jason, one quick thing. So I know you guys are great with neighboring residents. Either have you or Shiros, have we heard anything from the neighbors surrounding that? I know the buffer and barriers, you put a lot of thought in terms of that, but have we heard direct feedback?
Besides the one neighbor who is
Yes.
actually present this
Yep.
evening, we have not heard from any other neighbors.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Mr. Howarth, do you want to talk now, or do you want to wait for the presentation from the cannabis people?
I'll go ahead and speak now.
Okay.
If it's okay. So I live right south of the property. My north property line is the entire south edge.
So your name and address is, for the record?
William Howarth at 328 Denbury Drive, Lake Zurich. So the north edge of my property is the south edge of the current Hawkeye development. I have spoken to my neighbors about the development. Some of them brought up some of the objections you heard in the original presentation to the zoning board. I think that this is a better use for the property. Personally, I do like the Quonset hut though, but I won't miss it that much. I think they will be a good neighbor, and I think it will be a good use for the property, and I don't have any objections, and I haven't heard any strenuous objections from any of the neighbors that I've talked to. So I just wanted to pass that
The
along.
objections were more building layout and fence and landscaping.
Yes, they were the concerns that, the cameras on the buildings was one of them, the height of the fence and privacy, of course, are natural objections in light. And, our property, we have a two-story home right behind there, and our property, our back windows look out directly at that height. So we did have a concern that was addressed in the approval from the zoning committee on the cameras for the security of the facility. So I don't have any objections, and none of my neighbors put any objections up.
So then, to summarize, and one of the things we look for is a certain amount of protection for the next-door neighbors' residential. You and your neighbors are reasonably okay with everything that JAS is doing on this property?
Yes, we are, especially with the cameras being addressed.
Okay.
Because one of the back windows of the upstairs bedrooms is about 50 yards from where the building will be, and the cameras are.
Right.
There could be
Okay.
youngsters in those rooms, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks, William. You're next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the board. For the record, my name is Tyler Manick, Tyler-Manic. I'm an attorney with Shane Banks, Kenny and Schwartz. I'm the attorney for the applicant, Rubino Ventures, doing business as Duchess Cannabis. I'm joined by the applicant's representative, Alexis Biji Prow.
BG Pro, and the design team, David Fettner, as well as a member of the security team, Daniel McDermott. Duchess is here seeking a special use to operate a cannabis dispensing organization at 909 Rand Road in the new building that Jason just presented to the board. Other than this special use, the Duchess is not seeking any other zoning relief. The only reason that we're before the board today is the special use. The Lake Zurich Code essentially sets forth a two-prong analysis for the special use approvals for a cannabis dispensing organization. One, is the use properly located? And second, does the application meet all the general standards in the Lake Zurich zoning ordinance? I think the staff report comprehensively confirms that this application does meet all those standards. In addition, Duchess submitted a land use report in tandem with the staff report that also goes through the standards. On July 7th or July 18th, we went before the Planning and Zoning Commission, which unanimously recommended approval of this application. The PZC also put a few conditions on our special use permit request, and those conditions are in the ordinance that I saw in the staff report, and we're in agreement with each one of those conditions and more than willing to comply with all of them. We did have a pretty thorough presentation for PZC, and I know Trustee Martz was there. I'm not sure if any of the other board members viewed it. We can go through that presentation again if everyone would like, or we can go to questions.
Up to the board members. I watched the meeting, so anybody want to see the whole presentation? No? I think you lucked out because the PZC did a great job, and like you said, I'm looking at all green on this report, so
Absolutely.
continue on and give us the short version.
Well, that was the short version,
Well, that
Mr.
was
Mayor.
the short version. Okay, anybody have any, so are you done then?
We'd be happy to answer questions. Otherwise, we can go to the slides and run through them very quickly.
Give us the down and dirty, quick version of the slides, just so that the community can see it. We're on Facebook Live and we're also on TV, so let them see what Duchess looks like.
I'll let Alexis do her repeat.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Alexis BG Pro. It's BIGI-PROW. And I'm the VP of Operations for Duchess Cannabis. I'll give you the very shortened version of this. We are a women-owned and women-operated cannabis company, so we're very proud of that in Illinois. We have my corporate team, there's just 3 of us, and we have a combined 17 years of cannabis experience. So we bring a lot to the table. One of my director of purchasing, she actually has been in the cannabis industry since the inception of the medical program. So she brings a lot of experience to the table. Myself personally, I've been in retail for a very long time, and I've been in multi-unit operations for 24 years. So I bring a lot of experience from companies like GameStop, Amazon. I've worked for 2 other cannabis companies in addition to Duchess. So I worked for a multi-state operator and a small independent company as well. Go through a couple of the other things. At Duchess, what sets us apart is we really want to focus on a lot of social equity and craft cultivators and really bring different products than a lot of other dispensaries do to the table. We're very conscious about bringing products that the community wants and the community needs based on what they feel they need for their cannabis consumption. And then we also want to make sure, I know everybody says they focus on customer experience, but to me it's near and dear to my heart. It's very important to me that we service the community. We bring great service into any city that we go into. And then we do want to partner within the community. So making sure that we're on Chamber of Commerce's, we're sponsoring and partnering with any events that are happening within the city that we are allowed to participate in. We want that community feel. We want people to get to know us. Just a brief show of what our stores look like. We did purchase the MedMen locations. We have one in Oak Park and one in Morton Grove. I just wanted to give you a brief picture of what they look like after we've taken them over. We do have an elevated feel to our locations. I love the look in our stores. It's very relaxing. It's a very warm feel. I don't like neons or anything bright and flashy within our locations. It just has to have a certain look, a certain elevation in Dutchess. You can see that was our vestibule when we took over at MedMen, and then now what we turned it into to the front. The store before was very generic. It was very sterile. We were able to come in and add some accents and brighten it up and just add a nice warm feel to the location. And this is our Oak Park location. This is Morton Grove. You can see the before pictures and then some of the after pictures, adding some library lamps and just adding some different artwork and touches around the location. Just a little high class look. Just some additional photos from in our locations. You know the building. Site design, I know we've talked about the circulation, the parking. We're very confident in the parking. We will have 25 spots along with 40 other, creating 65 parking locations. And then most of our business is done through an online ordering system. So people have already placed orders before they come into our store. That's about 70% of our business. This really creates a quick in and quick out experience for our customers. 8 minutes is really on the high end if a customer hasn't placed an order. If a customer has placed an order online, you're really talking about a 5-minute in and out into the location. Loyalty, we account, most of our customers have been shopping with us before. We have repeat business, so 60% of our customers are within our loyalty program. So they know the system, they know our menu, and they know what they're looking for. Because we are such a heavily regulated industry, everything has to be locked down in our locations. The state requires us to have 3 different codings in our buildings. One is public access, that's the green you'll see at the top. That is where people will enter into the store, they'll show their ID, we make sure that they're 21 and older. And to get into the next room, it has to be buzzed in, or an associate has to have an RFID, an electronic card to buzz in. Every door and access point is secured in our dispensaries. The yellow area is our limited access, so this is our dispensary floors where customers are allowed to look around and shop. And then the red is going to be our restricted access locations. Only employees and approved, even if a vendor, if we have something that breaks in the store, they have to be on an approved list to come into the restricted access area. The state has to approve that for us. Everything is secured. Restricted access will have our secure rooms, which would be our vault. Our IT equipment is in there. We've got our break room, our receiving room, and then some offices. If I'm going too fast and you have questions, please let me know. I know we showed the site elevations before, but this is what our signs will look like. They are backlit. Just a very nice, clean look on the outside of our store. And then, as we stated, we are heavily regulated in this industry, and we're required to have 24/7 camera monitoring systems within our locations. Even if one camera goes down, I am not allowed to operate unless I have state approval. We have to have our camera systems functioning at all times. We have glass breaks within our stores. If somebody tries to break a window, the alarm will go off. We have motion sensors within our locations. And then again, we've got panic buttons, and then we also have those RFID cards that can get you from access point to access point. If I ever have an issue where I need to terminate a RFID card, I can do that immediately. So if I have to take an employee off the list for some reason, we can remove that access immediately. The state is required to have access to our cameras, and they have to be able to look in at any point in time, and they do. We are regulated by 2 different agencies, the Illinois State Police and IDFPR, and they have 24/7 access to our cameras, as well as myself and some of the management team on staff. And we are required to have on-site security, and we do have a representative here from P4 we use them for security. They are PERC certified. It's same thing, if our security guard doesn't show up, I can't even open for business. So I have to maintain a security guard on site at all times. I know this chart's a little hard to see, but it's our Gantt chart for
Can I
construction.
interrupt for 1 second because it relates to the last slide?
Yes.
Is there a backup generator that's set up in case of a power outage for all of your systems?
We are required by state law to have 8 hours of backup power,
Okay.
especially with our camera systems. We typically put in a gas generator, so we don't even do the battery backup.
Okay.
Did you say 8 or 80?
8. That's what's required by the state regulation. That's the minimum requirement.
Right. And then that'll be located in an area where it may not impact our neighbors in terms of noise and things like that.
The pad's already, you're gonna get yelled at.
No, you won't. I won't yell at you.
The pad's already located, actually. It's on the adjacent side to Deer Path Commons in the middle of the building.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I think I went too back. Oh, sorry.
She was going to pull up the construction schedule. I think it's important based upon the conversation that had happened previously. So just so everybody's clear, the goal is that we are, as the developer, we're providing what we call a shell. It's going to be a warm, dark, cold shell. So everybody, I won't get into the terms of all that, but basically then the tenant is going to finish the build out. She was going to show you the build out schedule, which was going to have them open, I believe, around March.
Yes,
March 7th.
March 7th.
I'm turning the building over to them before December 1st when I leave for Florida for the winter. Heck or high water, my team will have it done. And then they will have 3 months to build it and then get open by March 7th is the plan. So if we can't get it, and we've proven ourselves to build in this village. 2.5 years to build that property. We built the largest shopping center in Lake Zurich and way less than that. So if we can't get this done in that timeline, then we don't deserve to be in the industry, so in the business. So we will get our work done, and then our tenant will perform as well. So just wanted to make some assurances there that that wouldn't be a concern or a problem.
And I've opened numerous cannabis locations for different companies, and I have not been late yet on opening on time. And that's working through the compliance process with the state.
Okay. I hope you were paying attention to the last dispensary that.
Yes.
Yeah. I figured. Board, anybody have any questions?
You said March 7th opening,
It's a targeted opening date, yes.
sole tenant or any other tenants in that building?
Single tenant development, yes.
Oh, Sausage King showing up today, got it. Medical or recreational?
So the state does not give out medical license anymore, so we are approved only for adult use in our location. But we do service customers that are coming in and who are looking to use medical cannabis as in a medical function to help relieve different ailments that they have.
Got it. And then herd security, is it, as far as the security is concerned, is it off-duty police officer? I mean, how well equipped?
So we do have our representative here from P4. We've hired them. I've used them in the past 2 companies that I work. They are PERC certified through the state of Illinois, and they are not off-duty not off-duty police officers.
We use off-duty police officers. We've got
If you would mind stepping up to the mic. I need you at the mic.
Just for the recording and for the live.
We provide security for about 40 different facilities in Illinois. Outside of Illinois, another 50 or 60. We use off-duty police officers, and they've all undergone state training and everything, are all certified. We have them inside, outside. Let me just give you a little history. When they started medical marijuana a number of years ago, myself and my business partner wrote up the original security plans for them. And it's tight. It really is. I was a police officer for 36 years. I don't want somebody walking in here and walking out with their product. The security is very well done. And it's layered, it's concentric security. So if you defeat one part of it, you're not going to get through the next part. And it's pretty well put together, it really is. I've looked at their plans for this facility, and it's pretty much standardized.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else?
Anybody
for
else?
me?
Yep. So,
Greg?
just to be 100% transparent, I'm a little apprehensive tonight for a couple of reasons. One, based on the village's past experience with dispensary and the time, and I will say that you've gone a long way to alleviate some of that apprehension. I've had a number of residents reach out to me in the last week. With concerns, feelings. I haven't agreed with all of their arguments, but as an elected representative of the residents of Lake Zurich, I feel obligated to share the fact that 88.5% of every email I got was anti-second location. or expansion of the cannabis business, which I chuckled because we don't really have any cannabis in Lake Zurich right now. So I will just ask you this one question, and know that I am working very hard to keep an open mind. Why does Lake Zurich need 2 cannabis dispensaries?
Can I pull the presentation up again? I do have we did a study on population density and then really took a look at other surrounding cities and what they have and what they can serve. Thank you. Oh, can't do it again.
Just go back one. Can you
Pull the presentation up on the screen, please. It's on the computer before us, but not on the screen currently. Thank you.
Just a little bit. There you go. So we did conduct that survey, the Chicagoland municipalities, and calculated the dispensary density and comparable to Lake Zurich and in the population here. So you can see all the other dispensaries where we've got, Highwood has 1, they've got 1 per 5,100 population, and then you can go down to Island Lake, they've actually got 2, so it's 1 per 4,000. Deerfield has 2 dispensaries already in their location. They've got 1 for 9,500, and we would fall right in between that Deerfield and Rolling Meadows here in Lake Zurich. So we do believe, based off of the studies, that you can have 2 dispensaries in here. We can coexist together. Go ahead.
Well, this also, Alexis was going to point out, the radius between the nearest cannabis dispensary, other than the one that you were talking about before, for Nirvana, it's a 3.5-mile radius with an approximately 80,000 person population. So, you're looking at 2 dispensaries serving 80,000 people. And I'd also point out that the nearest dispensary that's setting that 3.5-mile radius is also the same operator as the other one in Nirvana. So we're adding someone different and an alternative to the other business, which I think we all believe that competition really promotes better practices. And I think that we're bringing that to the table. One other thing I would say, it goes back to, I think, our second or third slide about why Duchess. I do know, because I watched the first presentation on the recording, they talked about how their facility is vertically integrated, where they grow it. They sell what they grow. From what our slide before showed, we're not vertically integrated. We're inclusive of just the best brands, like social equity brands, small independent businesses. So we're going to give the residents of Lake Zurich, surrounding residents, more options and the ability to hold businesses accountable for giving good service.
We are, to that product, the different products that distinguish us from other dispensaries, we're partnering with a company called Culinary Cannabis Company. We're going to be first to shelf for them, so we'll have it before everybody else will. And we do focus on that craft and social equity cultivators to offer different things to our customers. And we really listen to our customers, and we want to make sure we're providing them with things that they want, not what we want to sell.
So what is a social equity brand, and how is that brand better than other brands?
So Illinois has special designated for infusers or craft cultivators that follow under the social equity guidelines. So whether it's women-owned, veteran-owned, or different ethnicities as well.
Yep, but how does that make that a better product than somebody else's?
They're also craft and smaller, so their canopy space and what they can grow is a lot smaller, the time and care. I've actually had a chance to tour a couple of the craft cultivators, and the care and the research that they put into it is just a lot different. They carry a smaller menu with their different strains and things that they carry, but there's just a lot of care that goes into it, and it's different strains and products than are originally out there in the market from MSOs, multi-state operators.
Well, we have a lot of craft distillers. Not
Similar.
all of those are good. Not all of that is good stuff.
Very, very, very similar to like a craft beer.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay.
It's small.
I got it.
one last question for you. So I'm sure a number of the people who have reached out to me are watching this broadcast this evening. What can you say about your business and your industry to kind of maybe alleviate some of their concerns?
About having the multiple dispensaries?
Yes.
Yeah. I think, again, it really just goes back to the different products that we're going to carry. Like Tyler said, we're not vertically integrated, so I'm not required to sell somebody's product. I can sell what the customer wants and the customer needs. So it provides a different level of service for those customers that come in the store. I'm not pushing a certain product on them.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Mary Beth?
You skipped over me.
Oh, Marky,
Well,
you
you'll
have
get your
questions?
Okay, I'll wait.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Marky has to wait. Just two quick questions. The percentage of online orders, what was that rough percentage?
70%.
Okay. And you may know the answer to this, or your security person might know this, but does the state require the security guards who are there to be armed?
No, they do not.
Okay. Would they be armed?
No, they would not.
Okay. Somebody was asking that on social media. That's why I'm asking it. Thank you, and thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Anybody else down here? William?
I guess I'll just make a comment. I appreciate you addressing the oversaturation. We all received the same emails. The one thing that, from my perspective, was a little hairy behind it was the outfit that sent the mailers that made it very easy to scan a QR code and use language models to create a really crafty email that seemed like it was customized, was based out of St. Petersburg, Florida. So it's a rinse and repeat activity that's used across the industry, and so sorry. But regardless, I received the same emails, saw and had the same concern in terms of the amount of emails I was receiving, but then when I dug in a little bit further, it did seem like I was just questioning maybe the originality of some of it. That being said, the oversaturation is a concern. I also understand different traffic patterns, so I'm glad you addressed that as well. Can you clarify, Jason, there is no access, there's only access from, I guess it would be going south to north, correct?
There's only, into this exact property, there's a right turn in, correct?
All
So
right,
that would be
so
south to north.
it-
No, yeah, south to north. Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's north to south.
I try to make it as
Yeah.
confusing as possible,
Yeah,
using
north-
that angle, yeah.
correct, north
So
to
that
south.
being said, its location to residential is less of a concern because the intentional, you're on 12, you have to go through that development. It's not like there's a sidewalk coming from a residential neighborhood into the area, correct?
Yeah, and there's no connectors from street traffic from residential areas other than Route 12, coming out on Route 12 and then coming in. So correct, there is no direct street path into the property. You have to travel through Deer Path Commons. So you either come in on a right turn, or you have to come in through Deer Path Commons and the other entrances and travel through the property.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point of clarification just for us to think about as a whole is there's been other presentations and that have come forth in this situation, and they're very close to resident. They're situations where kids on bikes are 1 or 2 shops down having Slurpees after baseball games. And so this is very different in terms of the layout and the access to a community in terms of the actual patrons that would be using this. So I just, in comparison to some of the other ones that have been in front of us, I think this is a differentiator.
Isn't there access off of Deer Path?
No. Okay. There's no access off a Deer Path.
Okay. Mark?
Yeah, sure. Since I was in attendance for the initial presentation, again, just want to commend the applicant. One of the things that I keep thinking about with this application is we have an undesirable development on this piece of property right now. We have a developer who's worked in the community and has a good reputation, and then we have a kind of esteemed and experienced cannabis dispensary operator. As far as an applicant for this sort of development would go, I don't think it could get much better, and it kind of seems like a bird in hand. So with Jason's good reputation of working with Lake Zurich, a differing type of business that is not akin to the applicant in the TGI Fridays building, we have the opportunity to have the applicant move in and let the market do its work and really establish which is the superior business. And it's not news to anybody that the reputation of the other dispensary is somewhat mixed amongst the village. So I would just say, 2 dispensaries might seem like a lot, but per the density study, that's what a community like Zurich could support. And, this seems like an opportune time to let the market do its work.
Excuse me, Mr. Fritz, could I just make one comment?
The board's in deliberation right now, John. I'll give you a second at the end,
They're making
okay?
a presentation, and
If you want to say something, you got to come up here.
I know I have to. I just want to mention something. When I moved here in 1977, we had one grocery store. It was on Old Rand Road, and it was a little IGA store. We had 4 children. He's the youngest. And my wife had to go to Buffalo Grove or Arlington Heights to buy groceries. Over this time, since 1977, and when I started building shopping centers here in Lake Zurich in 1987, we now have 7 grocery stores. So to answer your question regarding why 2, I can say why 7. And you know what? They're all successful. Why? Because they're not all the same. And that's one thing you have to consider. The presentation of these people, this is the first time I've gotten involved in this. I've been in Florida for 7 months. And I've been laid up with a hip replacement for the last 7 weeks. So I wanted to come out just to say hello to everybody. I didn't recognize everybody, to be honest with you. And I told the police chief, he's got a really neat patch. I have all the patches from Lake Zurich. I don't have that patch yet. So my only point is, I don't want to be compared to any other problems that you have in this community. I'd like you to go back and think about what we've done for this community. And I'm not looking for anybody to pat me on the back, but I've got $100 million installed in Lake Zurich, and every property is 100% leased. So please keep that in mind. I don't want to be compared to what we're offering to do with any other problems that are created, because you know what? Nobody does it the way we do it. They don't.
Thanks, Dave.
They don't. Okay. Thanks. Thank you very much. It's awful nice to see you all, really.
So, John.
And by the way, that driveway was my idea when I built Deer Path Commons. I knew the people at Hawkeye, and they were going to die if I didn't put that. I offered to do that. I built that road and gave them access to it. I think Tom remembers that, because Tom was very involved in Deer Path Commons. So that was my idea, to make access more accessible for that. So thank you all very much for listening.
Thanks, John. We only let you talk because you're part of the presentation. Okay, who's left?
Me.
Oh, Mark.
Hi.
You wanted to talk?
Just a couple
Oh, wait,
things.
are you done?
Jake.
Oh, wait. Jake, you got more?
I am done.
Oh, okay.
That's his official done.
He's done?
He's done.
Can I go now?
Yes, you can.
All right, thanks. Hi, everybody. Jason, Mr. Sapphire, with all due respect, I respect your business and I respect everything you've brought in. I'm just going to respectfully disagree about the grocery store analogy, because food is a staple. Cannabis is not a staple for life. And trying to draw that comparison, I think, it would be unfair to the residents if I allowed that to go unmentioned.
I only drew the comparison.
I know. I get that, but it's apples to oranges in an argument in this situation. My concern is this, and as you know, I mentioned the type of work I do, right? And my concerns there. And over the years, as we've seen this industry come about, and I understand there's a value, I understand there's a need out in the community. What I see is what impacts both my school and all schools across the country that have legalized situations, because the product is of varying strengths, it's of varying degrees of impact on individuals. And what I've found is that not through the dispensaries themselves getting the product to kids, the product ends up in kids' possession because they're taking from their parents. And I feel like we have a huge missing opportunity here because the industry is not communicating out in PR, in messaging, with the millions of dollars that they're making about how to, we have gun controls and gun safeties, we have locks on guns, right? We have safes for guns. That's advertised everywhere. But we don't see advertising about locking up your marijuana and your cannabis that you're buying from the dispensaries. And it's kids are finding it just like they were finding their parents' Xanax and other pills that I've seen over the years that have been abused, right? And so I can't fully get behind this project because of what I see happen. I've seen kids who have flatlined and had issues because of the strength of whatever it is that they've consumed. I've seen 12-year-old kids hand off a handful of gummies to another 12-year-old kid and consume them and end up going out in an ambulance, okay? Until I see the industry take ownership of the marketing and the PR piece of it and locally getting involved, again, so I'm going to be a no. You may get your yes. I'm assuming you'll probably get your yes here and be able to go forward, and I'd be happy for you and wish you well. However, I would love to see you partner with our township for drug-free safe schools and drug-free safe environments, work with our police department to communicate to kids in our schools about the negative impacts of this and how this belongs to the adults and not the kids. Finding ways, because you mentioned getting involved in the community, right? Finding ways other than promoting and supporting Rock the Block and this stage presented to you by the dispensary. How about we work with our local community and our schools and our youth projects to support them? Does that make sense? Absolutely. And so it's about that partnership and that ownership to support the community so that we can make sure that the people that it's designed for can be able to participate and enjoy it, but at the same time we're doing everything we can to make sure we're communicating to our families and our people with signage or whatever to make sure that they're taking appropriate care if they have young children at home so that we don't have those issues. So I mean, that's just, again, to talk about a soapbox, that's my soapbox, that's my mission in life, it's the work that I do, I see it impact kids every day. And so I'm just looking for an opportunity in my way to support our community, our local community. And I know the chief gets the calls when they have issues in our schools with kids that get a hold of these things as well. Again, parents don't mean to do it, but this is what happens. And so it's a byproduct of the industry that I don't know if they're taking full ownership of in terms of communicating and working through that, and that's my biggest concern. So again, you're going to get a no for me, Sapphire family. It's not personal. It's not about you guys. It's about the industry and about the system that it is. But I just want everyone to be clear about where I'm at with it and why and what I would like to see happen as a result to really help support our young people, because that's my concern. Thank you. And I'll shut up now.
And my further comment is that's the part B that's part of our job. Not that the Sapphire family or the Sapphire JAS is not going to do a great job on the project. We get it. We appreciate that. We know that's going to happen. Well, what he just stated was the part B that we have to be
in full
considered.
respect to what you said, because we're here for a special use permit for cannabis at 909 South Rand Road in a new building, which in theory we didn't even need to present the building because it met most of the zone. It met all the zoning criteria. We could have just applied for a building permit, but we thought it would be important for you to see the property that it's going to be in. It's not going to be tucked away in an industrial park somewhere. It's going to be in a prominent, nice facility, new facility, so that, and then you would have trust in the landlord, because we want the same things, and we will continue to partner with Chief and the village and do all the things. We do support Rock the Block, so they won't need to because we sponsor it, but that's okay. But the point is, to your point, Trustee Spicone, is I love those initiatives, and if somebody wants to call us and ask if we'd be willing to partner and sponsor and help that, yeah, we would, because I think those things are important for our community. I don't have kids that go to Lake Zurich, but I went to Lake Zurich, and I've seen the school district grow, and it's continuing to grow, and it's a great school district, and it needs the business community to continue contributing tax dollars like we do, but it also needs partners. And we want to be those partners, like I said, as long as we're the largest property owner in Lake Zurich, we're going to fight to keep our properties 100% leased and with good businesses, and we're going to continue to partner to do the best we can to make this a great community. We don't live in Lake Zurich, so people tell us, oh, you're not residents, but we are residents, right? We've staked our claim in Lake Zurich more than anybody, and we need Lake Zurich to be successful just as much as anybody. So,
And I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate your comments as well. And yeah, again, it's a beautiful building, like I said. I think it looks well. I think you guys did a great job with all that. I know you've worked with the neighbors. You've got the buffering and all that. Beautiful, nice work. No offense to you guys in terms of that. It's just where I'm at with it and what I believe. That's why I was the only no vote last time when the last group came in. And I'm going to continue to be that and there still are people in our community that need that voice as well. And I want to channel that voice to support them as well. So.
And well said, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Did I hit everybody? Yep, we're good? Okay, want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to request a motion to approve ordinance 2024-08580, approving a special use permit for Duchess Cannabis Dispensary at 909 South Rand Road.
So you requested a motion, so.
So moved, Riley.
So moved for Riley, okay. And a second, please.
Second, Shagru.
And Kathleen, would you call the roll?
Trustee Riley?
Aye.
Trustee Spicone?
No.
Trustee Shagru?
Aye.
Trustee Wider?
Aye.
Trustee Euchre?
Aye.
Trustee Marks?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That passes. You get your special use permit. Good luck to both of you, and we're looking forward to seeing you under construction.
Thank you, everyone.
John?
We really appreciate it.
I would be remiss not to thank staff. They've been very thorough through this whole process, helping us through.
Yeah, thanks, Sarosh. No kidding. Oh, you guys always does a great job.
Thanks, Sarosh. Somebody loves you.
Somebody look. You guys get that on.
We love you. Okay, that's the end of new business tonight. We move on to trustee reports. Anybody got a trustee report tonight? No? Okay, we move on then to staff report. Anybody got a staff report?
No further report from us.
Nope, nothing. Okay, that concludes our business for tonight. Our next meeting is Monday, August 19th. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Euchre.
That is MB, and a second, please.
Second, Whiters.
Greg, and please call the roll, Kathleen.
Trustee Spicone?
Aye.
Trustee Shagru?
Aye.
Trustee Wider?
Aye.
Trustee Euchre?
Aye.
Trustee Marks?
Aye.
Trustee Riley?
Aye.
Okay, stay healthy, stay safe. We are adjourned. Thank you.